right. Thank you, Flamena, for such a warm and nice intro. I appreciate it. And for everyone else, thank you for being here today. As you know, I'm Bob Vance, the founder of Home Remodeler SEO. We work exclusively with builders, remodeling companies, and the home improvement industry. So everything I share today comes from real world use, not theory. My day-to-day work is helping remodeling and design companies grow through their websites, their search visibility, and their overall digital marketing strategies. What that really means is I spend a lot of time seeing what's actually working, what's not inside of real remodeling businesses. So the information that you'll see today isn't coming from tech blogs. It's coming from inside real remodeling operations, as well as everything I've been studying and geeking out on, if you will, when it comes to AI. This session isn't a sales pitch. It's about sharing what we're seeing right now with AI, what's practical, what's hype, and where remodelers can really get leverage without blowing up their workflow, without blowing up their operation. So let's go ahead and jump right in. This first webinar in this three-part series is going to be about AI in design and remodeling. The remodeling industry is experiencing a technological revolution, really. AI has moved from being a niche tool for conceptual art to a core component in construction-ready designs, in cost modeling, and in project management. And I want to be clear on this. AI is not a fad or something to be ignored. AI is the future, and that future is already here. So I say lean into it, learn it, and expand your knowledge base. And remember, every major shift in construction came from better tools, not trends. AI is simply the next tool. Ignore it, and you'll be building tomorrow's homes with yesterday's tools and technology. One way to not treat AI as a passing fad or to not look at it as too technologically challenging is just to have fun with it. Find a tool like an image editor and just goof around a bit. Start getting the feel of how AI works and its capabilities. This is me here using Grok to turn my dogs into superheroes out to save the world. This really just took a few minutes to get what I wanted in terms of this image and design. But the possibilities are literally limitless when it comes to image and video editing. Grok will even take one of your images and turn it into a live video, which is pretty wild when you think about it. You can actually bring an image to life in a video form. And someone goes, "When did you film that video?" It's not. It's AI. It's the real people in the image, but now it's an actual AI video. So I encourage you just to start playing around and have some fun with the AI tools. Jump in the shallow end of the pool and then kind of find yourself being amazed at the possibilities. And that's where you'll get the most use out of it, is by having fun with it. And so the message really should be clear. Early adoption is essential for efficiency, accuracy, and profitability when it comes to growing your business with AI. And remember, the goal isn't replacing people. It's removing the friction, the rework, the guesswork. Think of AI as a force multiplier for designers, for project managers, for estimators. My guess is that some of you are already using AI, maybe in multiple different capacities, or at least you've started using it maybe in some of your estimating tools at a minimum. If you're using AI, go ahead and put in chat. Let us know what you're using and what you're seeing the best results with or having the most fun with. The early adopters will win because they produce faster. They produce more accurate work with the same stuff and the same staff. And that means margins improve when fewer mistakes happen upstream. So the late adopters won't fail overnight. They'll just slowly get underbid and outpaced. Seen a lot of different tools, so I love seeing that. I saw some people using Grok. Grok is really, really gaining the most momentum right now. A lot of people start out with ChatGPT, but when you look at the growth of Grok by the hundreds of thousands of people, kind of tells you that maybe it might be a better tool to check out. And what I encourage is just to kind of experiment, play around a little bit and see which one you like better, see which one gives you better outputs. Same with the design software that we're going to be talking about here in a little bit. Just see which ones you like and which one's easier to use, maybe more cost efficient, and particularly obviously giving you those best results that you're looking for. Where AI is now indispensable, as we know, AI is already showing up in design and estimating, scheduling, even client communications. Even tools that don't advertise AI now quietly rely on it. Like I said, my guess is that most estimating services are using AI in their processes and projections already. It used to be done by hand. They ran some formulas and tabulations, whatnot, to figure out how many of this and that you need. AI can do that now and do it in typically in about 10 or 20 seconds. So companies that aren't using that in the estimating industry, they're going to fall behind, just like if you're not using it in design and remodeling as we move forward. And I'll say this as well. The biggest gains happen before construction even starts. Think about how many days or even weeks that you can knock off the schedule by using AI in your blueprints, in your design, in estimating, even in putting together your timeline. You can literally get to your construction phase weeks ahead of schedule from compared to where you used to be able to do that by manually kind of mapping out that timeline. Okay, so the first step is the design phase, of course, right? So we're familiar with AI-driven CAD and 3D models. Now, AI tools now can assist designers by generating those CAD drawings and those 3D models from sketches, from photos, just rough ideas that you might have in your mind. Designers can now go from a rough idea to a visual concept in minutes and not take days or weeks to do that. And so some examples and tools, the Autodesk, AutoCAD, plus the AI plugins that it has, it converts, 2D sketches into editable CAD files, accelerates that drafting process, and also offers predictive design suggestions as well. And you've got Planner, DAI, it generates those 3D home layouts, those interior design options, based on the user input that you're putting, that you're able to put in for anything and everything. Pro Kitchen software, I'm going to show you an example of that. It is really a good software, it delivers high quality, strikingly realistic renderings that will inspire your customers. And then Artlist, another tool I'm going to go over. It's AI-powered 3D asset and environment library. It's used to enhance your 3D models and visualizations. It can use realistic props, textures, different scene elements to really get a feel for how that room's going to look and feel for the client. I used to do that when I was building. I would map stuff out and move all the furniture in my living room and start going, is this really going to be a big enough space for what we're visualizing here? And so now AI can do those things without moving your furniture and hurting your back like I did. But these are ideal tools for adding mood, context, presentation polish to architectural and interior design renderings. And so, like a real life example would be a remodeler lists out what a client wants and then uses AI assisted CAD to convert it into a fully editable 3D model. And thus you're cutting your design prep time from days to hours. AI can also help reduce that back and forth revisions that you have with clients. You can do those revisions instantaneously in a matter of seconds instead of going back and forth in email or even scheduling site visits and going back and forth with it. This is where the expectations really help you get aligned early with your customers. Means fewer surprises later for you and for your customers, and you cutting down on those change orders, so that's saving you time and money as well. So like I said, let's see how this works with some free tools. You don't necessarily need enterprise software that's super expensive to start experimenting and learning some of these tools and some of these AI processes. There are many free or even low-cost tools that are great for internal testing for you and your team, for honing your skills, for client demos in particular. And the learning curve, I'll tell you folks, it's way smaller than what most people would expect. And so AI-driven CAD and 3D models with Artlist, artlist.io is where you'll find them online. Now, Artlist is a great platform for video creators, for producing high-quality creative assets made by leading artists worldwide. It offers AI image and video generators, AI voiceover, royalty-free music for your videos and presentations, amongst the many other offerings that they have. But it also allows you to make image designs based on inputs that you add in. So, when you want to design that room, you're just adding those inputs in, and voila, it's going to create that for you. So it can generate these design concepts from simple text prompts, or maybe just uploading some inspirational images that you might have. It really is a great tool for early stage ideation and mood boards. And we all know that clients react to visuals more so than abstract ideas. So that's where I really like to see it in action. And so I'm going to play this video here. It's a quick little video example that I made. Basically, you're typing in your remodeling idea. Like any AI application, the more ideas and details it has, the better your results will be. Like I always say, garbage in equals garbage out, especially when it comes to AI. And conversely, the better and more descriptive your inputs, the better your output will be. And Artlist.io even has a free version too. So that's a nice little bonus. Gets you to start using it, and then you can upgrade later. But you can see the prompts that I put in there. And what I did was said, create a detailed 3D CAD model of a remodeled kitchen with a modern farmhouse style. And then I put some other details in there. As part of the series we're doing here, we'll be doing two more webinars, one that focuses on sales and marketing. And jumping ahead and thinking about your sales process a little bit, think of the possibilities of being able to do this right on site during the design consultation. You've literally been able to break out your laptop, run this little design iteration here. And with a little bit of practice, I mean, you can really whip this up pretty quickly, just sitting there at the customer's kitchen table. And all things being equal, if you can do this and your competitors are not doing this, I think you're going to have a pretty darn good chance of winning that job just from that wow factor alone. If you're coming in with that laptop, sitting down and whipping up a design like this, and they're like, oh my God, that's exactly what I want. Can you change this color? Can you change that? And you can do that instantaneously. It's so quick, literally a matter of seconds. So that is going to give you a big leg up when it comes to doing those sales and design consults, those promos. And then, here's the final result, little enlarged here for you based on the inputs. And in this case, it's just a kitchen design that you can now refine even more. You can change the styles, like I said. You can change the cabinet style, the color, the stain color, appliances, countertop styles, patterns, anything you want really. And the great thing about this is this was free. This was all free and done in a matter of minutes. And so anyone can learn this. It's really not that tough. It can be a little intimidating at first, but trust me, you will get better at it the more you do it. Just like anything, practice makes perfect, right? Here's another example of design software. I really like this one. It's called Pro Kitchen Software. It lets you visualize a design with blueprints as well as 3D views. Presenting designs to your customers, and it's an important part of that design process. So you can use these high quality 3D renderings to not only show off your design skills, but it also helps customers grasp the vision that you have for their project. And so I'll play this video. You can see the 3D viewer on the left helps translate the blueprints on the right into that rendering on the left, that the customer can now visualize the project you have for them a little easier. A lot of people are kind of visually challenged. So if you can use tools like this, it really helps them. And then within this software, there's all kinds of other little tools there on the menu bar where you can design the cabinetry, you can design the plumbing, add in appliances, furniture, as well as lighting and decorative touches. So you can really, really bring this to life for a client. And then here's that final rendering that it produces, which you can then, like I said, use to wow your customer with in that on-site consult that you're doing with them. Again, you just whip this up and you've got their kitchen magically transformed right there in front of their eyes, and it doesn't take that long. And here's another tool that I want to share because we use this type of tool on every client website that we build. Basically, there's many tools here built in with this, but what we use it for is to showcase our before and after photos for our client portfolios. It's a simple slider tool. that lets your customers visualize what their old kitchen will turn into or after their new design. And so you can just kind of slide back and forth with this slider tool to show the before design, the after design. We custom code this into our client websites for use with just static images to show those before and after in their client portfolios. This tool featured here is actually kitchendesign.io. You can look that up on the internet, check out everything that they have to offer. I showed it here because I like just that slider tool. We get so much praise and so much feedback. It really is a fan favorite, just being able to slide back and forth and show that before and after. And then, of course, kitchendesign.io will do all your kitchen design and everything that these other tools will do too. But I want to show you how you can use this tool just in terms of static images on your website. And when you do that, one tip here is to make sure you're taking pictures before and after from the exact same spot. You want to be able to put the two pictures together and it looks like it's the exact same picture, exact same room. Because I've seen many remodeling companies, they take before and afters and nothing really matches up. And you kind of question, is this really the same kitchen design? Is this, am I being bamboozled here? My eyes playing tricks on me. So make sure you take your pictures from the exact same spot, and that way you can meld them together, and then you can incorporate this slider tool in and just slide back and forth. And it really is a wow factor when you're able to do that with any of the static images on your website, as well as videos and using this software for everything that it's capable of. And so next we're on to the second phase, which is your pre-construction phase, material sourcing, cost modeling. AI is helping remodelers plan budgets now, source materials efficiently by linking designs to real-time pricing databases. AI is able to predict cost changes and then optimizing your sourcing as well. This can lead to more confidence in your pricing, which we know is a big issue with prices fluctuating, typically always going up, not down. But it also is going to help you with fewer mid-project change orders as well. And we know how much that can save in time and money. And so some examples of those tools are like Build Exact, which I know you guys have heard of. It does the AI-powered cost estimating and material tracking for residential remodels. You've got Co-Construct that has now been bought by Buildertrend and is being absorbed into that platform, plus the AI extensions that they're building into that. This tool can dynamically adjust your budget forecast as material or labor costs change. So you're able to put those changes in actively and not, you're being more proactive, in other words, instead of reactive. I can also help with scheduling and client communications. I know a lot of people use Buildertrend. It's a great product. And then you've got Sage, which is an estimating tool. It uses historical data to really predict overages and some of the high-risk areas where you might get into some trouble with your budgeting forecasting. And then ChatGPT, most of us think of ChatGPT as that tool that writes all of our blogs that sound like AI because they are AI. You can also use ChatGPT in client communications, but it also helps remodelers analyze estimates. It helps you compare material options, it helps you flag potential cost risks, and it clearly explains budget changes to your clients as well. So, a real world example here would be, say, hardwood flooring prices are going through a spike. And so AI is going to identify alternative materials that match the client aesthetics and their budget. And that's going to help save you time in sourcing and research that you're doing. And speaking of sourcing, material sourcing, and cost modeling with GBT. If you haven't used AI much, you might not know that ChatGPT can model what if scenarios, and it can do it pretty quickly. It helps explain those cost changes to homeowners in plain English that they understand, easy for them to understand, and it's great for proposal and really setting client expectations, because we know that's kind of one of the biggest things is getting those expectations and getting aligned early with that. And so here's an example of asking ChatGPT where our inputs are asking about hardwood flooring, specifically a recent price hike in oak flooring. And with certain budget limitations, we're asking ChatGPT to give us some options and supporting data. And so then it starts listing out some options. In this case, there's 5 total options. But if you can ask for more options and refinements, you can start, getting those answers dialed in. And that's the one thing I'll say about any of these tools, like ChatGPT especially, is just keep asking. It spits out some answers, and then you say, hey, can you tell me more about this? Or can you refine this? And it will just keep going deeper and deeper for you. Most people take that first output, especially if they're just like spitting out generic AI content. They take that and they just slap it on their website. They're like, all good. And in fact, it's not all good. You really want to refine that and try to get your brand voice built into there, or to get some of your ideas or some of your experience or expertise will come in there as well. And so remember, it will give you some reasoning behind its outputs, but you also want to be refining that as much as you can. And then finally, it will end up drawing you a table of options, pricing, listing out some of what it thinks are the best options. And the cool thing about ChatGPT 2 is that at the end of its output, it usually will ask you specific questions. Do you want to know more about this? Do you want me to go into this a little more? And so that helps you, because maybe it's something you didn't think of. And then as it's saying, hey, do you want me to explore this a little more? You can just say yes. And it knows that you're answering its question, and it will, do a little deeper dive into that for you. It will just keep spitting out options and answers for you as long as you want to keep asking questions. So it really, really can help you get dialed in. And then next comes your construction management phase. And this is where AI assisted scheduling and risk detection can come into play. And so AI can predict delays well before they become expensive problems for you. It can detect site safety risks that humans may miss. It optimizes project timelines, kind of as if it's your underpaid assistant project manager. So some examples and tools that you might want to look up. Doxel AI, it uses drones and cameras to scan your construction site daily. It compares construction progress with the plans. And then it can flag any deviations that it's seen. Google Gemini, a free tool, Google's answer to ChatGPT and Grok. It helps generate project schedules. It can automate recurring timeline tasks. It can monitor project documents to detect risk and maybe surface some timely insights via scheduled actions for you. And then there's Alice Technologies. It's AI-driven construction scheduling. It simulates scenarios to help you reduce delays and kind of reducing the guesswork in some of the more complex remodel jobs that you're doing. And then smartvid.io, it scans images and videos for safety hazards and any kind of compliance issues. So you take pictures or videos and then upload them, and it's going to let you know if it sees, anything that you need to address. So a real world example here would be AI detecting a potential plumbing framing conflict before construction even begins. And that's going to help you prevent some of that costly rework and delays that inevitably is going to cost you time and money and maybe trust and confidence with your customers. And so that means your project managers are going to spend less time digging and actually more time managing. And then AI assisted scheduling and risk detection with Gemini. Again, Gemini is great because it's free. So that makes it a great tool in and of itself right there. But Gemini can also digest massive amounts of project data pretty quickly. And it's great for producing summaries, updates, quick answers, and best of all, like I said, it's free to use. So it's almost, there's no roadblock to usage because of that. And so here's a simple example of inputting a real address down in Telluride, Colorado, which I highly recommend for a ski vacation if you've never been there. Great little Old West town. Used to have a saloon with swinging doors. Now they replaced the saloon doors, but great little town. Highly recommend. But what we're doing here is we're asking Gemini to analyze this property and scan for safety hazards and any type of compliant issues. And so the result is a breakdown on structural and environmental compliance that's specific to the town of Telluride. And it's also going to list out some of those high-risk safety hazards that may be conceptual in theory, or it may be something that they've detected from this property, from the images or videos uploaded specifically. And then it's also going to give you some of those utility and occupational hazards. Now, you guys are probably really good at this. This is your expertise. Again, AI is an assistant. It's not replacing you, but these are some things that you might not have thought of that you can go, oh, wow, that really helped. I wouldn't have thought of that one thing right there. I knew the others, but hey, this one helped me maybe prevent a costly delay or a costly, a cost overrun or something. And then finally, it gives you some recommended next steps. All of this doesn't replace the human component. I want to emphasize that again. That experience is needed to deal with this stuff, but it does provide a great guide for you before you even go out on the property. And the best thing is it does it all in about 10 seconds. And then here's the final screenshot of giving the AI model more information on the target date for the project, as well as the number of guys you're going to have working on the project, and then giving you a better idea of a more realistic timeline for you. Again, you're still the boss. You're still managing the project, bringing your experience and your expertise to the project. But the AI tools, the outputs like this can really speed up your project. And as we all know, time is money. So again, it's working in conjunction with you. You're still the boss, you're still the visionary, but it can really start cutting down on a lot of time savings for you. And when we talk about the industry adoption curve, I want to talk about why being an early adopter matters. I know plenty of remodelers and builders that are starting to embrace AI tools, so I'm really glad to see that. I've seen some people in the chat. I know I've talked to you, won't call you out, but you know who you are. I know you're using AI, so really happy to see you pushing the envelope on that. But most remodelers are still in that curious but hesitant mode. Early adopters are already standing out in the sales conversations, though, which I mentioned earlier, because you're able to go out and just wow the customer with these demos. And so this gap is going to continue to widen every year as more and more people adopt AI, while others stay on the sideline with, paralysis by analysis, or they just don't feel like they're up enough on technology to really jump into this. The really simple tools to use. It's just clicking here and there and putting some inputs in and adding your ideas and letting AI just run with it from there. What it comes down to is that early adopters will build systems that others will copy later. And that means you're going to attract better clients who value your professionalism. And then, as that added bonus, your marketing is going to become easier too, as well as tightening up your operations. And, we'll be going into operations in the next webinar and then sales and marketing in the third webinar. The remodeling sector, though, is still in early phases of AI adoption. So don't feel like you've been left behind. You haven't missed the boat. But those of you who become early adopters, you will gain faster project delivery. You will see lower costs through the predictive budgeting and better forecasting that you're able to do. You will improve your client satisfaction and probably get more referrals because of everything that's coming from this whole process. And then there's also that competitive differentiation in your sales, in your marketing, in your reputation. Companies that are slow to adopt, they risk being outpaced by the AI-enabled competitors who can just deliver more, and they can deliver it more efficiently, more cost-effectively, and deliver those visually compelling results that we've been seeing with those 3D renderings that I've showed so far. So if you're slow to adopt, you will be outpaced. This isn't hype. This isn't me trying to scare you. It's just simple operational math. Remodeling firms using AI bid smarter and they can respond faster. That's just all there is to it. And then when it comes to advanced AI applications in remodeling, AI is also moving beyond automation into decision-making support as well. So when we talk about computer assisted design, building information management, and AI, these are all converging really fast. This is where the next competitive leap will happen in the industry. AI can transform sketches, It can, produce ideas, iterations, and designs simply from photographs. It can make photographs for you, like my superhero dogs. It changed everything into the apocalyptic background, and put some superhero uniforms on them. Laser scanning stuff into your detailed CAD and BIM files, automatically flagging for any designer conflicts. So the results, the possibilities are endless. The capabilities include converting those sketches and scans into editable digital models, flagging those potential conflicts, like when we talked about that example earlier, the framing versus plumbing conflict, that it was able to flag for you first. It could even suggest design optimizations based on building codes. It can go to your building code, website and scan everything on that site in about 2 seconds, and then let you know if it sees something that is in conflict. And so some of the tools, Revit plus some generative design plugins is a good one. Autodesk, generative design with Autodesk is its main function. SketchUp with some AI plugins. There's literally limitless tools. Some you've heard of, some I've mentioned, some I've never heard of, some you're using. So, just keep researching and finding ones that you like best. And really the ones that are easier to use are going to be easier adopted, because there's not that roadblock that keeps you from learning it. So an example, like, building information management models that highlight a new HVAC duct system with any conflicts and that might come into play with the cabinetry that you have planned out. AI is going to suggest maybe some alternate routing, and that could really help you reduce some expensive rework if you don't catch that first go around. You're probably catching this. Most of you guys have been doing this for years. You're all experts. You have a lot of experience. But why not get that helping hand? That's, like I said, that underpaid assistant you have. And then when it comes to generative design, AI can create multiple optimized floor plan variations, do it very, very quickly, and all while taking into account factors like natural lighting and space efficiency, energy savings. So there's a lot of different tools that can look at this. But like, real world example, let's say, Remodeler inputs room dimensions and desired uses, and then AI produces like, let's say 10 different layout options for you. Now you as the remodeler can select and refine some of the best options. This is going to save you hours of trial and error and planning. This is all happening in a matter of minutes. So, designers still choose, but AI is just expanding those options. And again, that's that perfect melding of you still being in charge, just getting a helping hand and speeding things up. And so here's a video example of Google's Gemini Nano Banana AI software and its capabilities. It does AI image generation with 3D editing models. It enables users to generate, edit, blend images, use different language prompts. In other words, you're just telling it what you want edited or replaced or removed. It's going to make it easy to talk your way through that and get to that desired result you're striving for. And like, you're just putting all of these inputs in. You can even speak them in via a microphone too. So that's kind of cool. You can drag and drop images. There's so much you can do with the Nano Banana AI software tool from Gemini. And again, it's from Google, and so you're getting a good product. This is they're going to be around for a long time to come. There's a free version, and there's also the pro version as well. And then once you're done, it generates that image for you. And now you can take that image and say, okay, what do I want to do with this image? Here's that image output enlarged for you. And then you can further refine it by asking for further iterations, what Gemini calls interpretations. And so with those refinements, voila, now you have 3 different iterations to work from. Obviously, there's one better iteration here, in my opinion, but you can also take a blending of it. You're like, oh, I can say, oh, I really like that brick wall. Hey, put the brick wall on the other side too. And now you've got the brick wall on each side. Or I really like this, but I don't like this. And so you can just keep refining it and really come to the design that you want. And it doesn't take days or weeks or one of your assistants, slaving over the design and redrawing things, using some of the old CAD software. This is doing it in a matter of seconds and minutes. Like I said, Gemini is free, so it's not quite as fancy as some of the other design software out there that really caters to the remodeling industry specifically. But it can still generate some really nice designs and save you a lot of time in doing so. When it comes to AI design, one of the coolest tools I've seen and introduced remodelers to is one from wevizu.com. And check this out. They call it magic AI for a reason. It really is pretty amazing. It's almost magical, to use a pun. Your customers can choose every countertop, every tile, every finish imaginable, and they can do it right from your own website because you embed the tool, their software tool, you embed it into your website. So your customers, you can point them to that page and just say, start playing with it. Tell me what you want, or you can do it with them again at that sales demo at their kitchen table. So no more showroom visits or those extra in-house visits costing you time and money. It does cost a little more than most tools because you can see, like, you can just color some things out and say, change this into from a tile floor to a wood floor, and it does it automatically. So it is amazing to use, and the fact that you can embed on your website is really cool too. It does cost a little more than other tools, typically about $2,000 to $3,000 annually, depending on what version you want. But that can really, really be worth the price tag based on its capabilities and the time savings that you earn from it, not to mention the wow factor that might win you an extra job or two or 10 that will easily pay for that cost. And then let's talk about some limitations and pitfalls here. AI is powerful, but it's not magic unless we're talking about the WeVizu magical tool, they call it. But really, it's not magic. Human judgment still matters. Knowing where AI stops is just as important as knowing where it helps. So keep that in mind. This is not replacing people. It's not replacing your designers, not replacing you. You want to avoid over-reliance. AI suggestions don't replace local building codes or human expertise. Always validate your outputs. Think of this in terms of Copilot and not autopilot. I like to think of this in terms of Tesla's assisted full self-driving. It says full self-driving, but then it says assisted. So which is it? Is it full or is it assisted? It's both. The car will drive you where you want to go, but you still need to be there in supervision mode and paying attention. So again, you're working seamlessly with AI, like Wonder Twin powers activating. It takes both of you. And then data security. Property scans and client information must be handled safely. You know that. There's a big risk there. So you want to make sure you're using trusted platforms that you don't upload client data to, especially with ChatGPT. Like, a lot of you might be using the free version. You may not know this, but the free version lets your queries and outputs be shared with the company across the entire company and can be used for modeling and anywhere and everywhere that they want to use it, basically. If you get a paid account, that's where your data becomes private. So you can't upload some of your own stuff and realize it is going to stay in your account. It is a paid for private account. But if you're using a public tool and you're using it for free, you can pretty much count on the fact that it is that information may be shared or used in some other output or answer somewhere down the line. Maybe you'll never know it. Maybe it will never affect you. It's not going to maybe mention your company name, but I'd rather pay the $15 a month or whatever it is and know that my data is private and protected. And then input quality. Poor data leads to inaccurate AI outputs. I said that earlier, garbage in equals garbage out. So really pay attention to that. The more detailed of an input that you can type in, the better result you're going to get. And then keep refining that. Make AI work for it. And I'll tell you, I've used ChatGPT a lot, and you catch mistakes all the time. I'll call it out. Like, I've trained my ChatGPT to have a voice and to be a little sarcastic and funny, like I think I am sometimes. But we have fun with it. And I'll call it out. I'm like, AI, you've made another mistake. I don't know if I can count on you anymore. I'll literally type that in. And it will be like, Bob, you've caught me again. I'm so sorry. Here, let me give you a better result. Like, that is literally what it types out. So I have fun with it. And more, like I said earlier, the more fun you have, the more you're going to use it. And you're probably going to, like me, I get a couple laughs every day out of using some AI because of injecting your brand voice, just letting it know who you are and showing it your website, showing it your videos, showing it your content, any presentations you've done. It will really get to know who you are and the voice that you want to speak in. And then the last thing is staff training. Teams need guidance to avoid the overwhelm and the resistance that you're inevitably going to face. So don't just tell your team, hey, go figure it out. Make it a team building exercise and have fun with it. Resistance usually comes from fear, not laziness. Your team's not lazy. They're just like, man, I don't know about this. That's just fear, right? That's not laziness. So try to start with some simple wins for your team. Just do some little things at a time. Do them together. We do a happy hour on Fridays. We just get together either in person or in Zoom and just, I don't know, we tell jokes, we tell stories, we play games. We have fun to build that company culture. It's something that I put a lot of emphasis on. And this is something where you can bring your AI into it. Hey guys, let's play a game. Let's see who can come up with the best design the quickest. However your culture works. But the more fun you can have with it, the better off you're going to be. And really, most importantly, show how the AI helps your team and show that it's not there to replace them, because you're going to have designers that are going to be like, oh man, I think they're working to replace me. Assure them that you're not doing that, that there's no way that AI can totally replace a human being in that regard. And so let's talk about your roadmap for implementation so that you can walk away from this webinar and actually feel like you're putting something into play here. And so my first suggestion would be start small. Start with just one tool. Don't try to scale up and use a different tool for everything out there. Maybe just pick a tool that solves one of your real pain points. You're not trying to overhaul everything at once. What I like to say is momentum beats perfection in this case, and typically every case. You're just trying to gather a little momentum into using AI, getting your team to use it a little more. And then build templates. Create a library of AI-assisted designs for repeatable tasks. And this will save a lot of time. Templates equal scalability. And this is what AI really excels at. And then also train your team, ensuring that your designers and your project managers are comfortable using AI tools is going to guarantee you more success. So start integrating new AI enhancements into your existing workflows and your current processes, and then gradually keep expanding. And just like I said, try one process at a time. You're not trying to overhaul the whole system here all at once. And then setting KPIs. Track your design turnaround, your cost variance, your client approval, and satisfaction scores that you might be getting on any surveys or just, verbal feedback. And the goal is to make sure that you're working smarter, not harder. And then expand gradually, like I said, introduce maybe predictive scheduling or maybe risk analysis, maybe material sourcing, just, the more complex things, start introducing those later down the road as you go. The future favors those who embrace AI thoughtfully. That's really what it's going to boil down to. AI in remodeling isn't a gimmick. It is a force multiplier from design to construction. It's really going to help you reduce errors, improve efficiency, and empower remodelers to deliver high quality projects faster. The future favors those who embrace AI thoughtfully. We've heard the future embraces the future favors the bold. And that's what we're talking about. Be bold, embrace AI thoughtfully. Combine that with your human expertise and some intelligent automation. And the winners won't be the reckless adopters or the total skeptics. They will be strategic, practical users of the tools. We'll be covering some use cases for AI in operations and then also in sales and marketing in our follow-up webinars over the next couple of weeks. But if you have any questions, I'm not sure, Palmena can let us know if you got any questions to ask now, or you can reach out as well to me at any time.
Kelly is actually asking the same question that Amy asked. Do you have a recommendation for a specific tool that works best with chief architect? I don't know if you have experience in that.
I can't say that I have experience in that because it's been a long time since I've actually been in the field and AI didn't exist when I was building. The tools that I went over were great suggestions. I've seen other people in the chat listing some AI tools too, but the tools that I really liked were Pro Kitchen software. The WeVisu is really good as well. I thought that those had the most wow factor, not only in visual representations, but just in their capabilities of what they can use. But I can't speak exactly. I think I would be remiss to say, oh yeah, use this with your architect when you guys are the ones that are out there in the trenches and I'm not. So I don't want to really suggest any tools that I maybe haven't used or know enough about.
And then we have Teddy in the chat that said render is a good
Render,
tool,
RENDR,
right?
render.
Yeah, but it looks that's not an AI tool. And there are other measurement tools. I know that like Matterport has a lot of things that can be integrated into design software. A lot of times, you also have to get like a specific camera so that you can scan measurements into your design software. There are different tools. Um, Looks like Canvas will scan and
Is
output.
that Canvas or Canva? I'm not
I don't
sure.
know. I think it
Could
might
be.
be Canvas versus Canva.
Okay.
I'm not sure. Brandon, can you elaborate? Is it
I
Canva
use
or
Canva a
Canvas?
lot.
It's Canvas. Yeah, I've heard of
Yeah.
Canvas
Okay.
before.
Okay. Great. But it says it's a great tool, but not AI. So,
Yeah.
um, yep.
And then Bob, if you take a look at the Q&A field there, you can actually see all the questions. I think some you may have answered. Eduardo asks, can you talk about AI limitations in CAD versus Revit to make sure people understand it's not the end all be all?
Yeah, I think I don't have experience working with either one of those tools specifically, so I had to limit myself on what I say here, and so I don't say anything wrong. But I think when I talked about the limitations and pitfalls, it's really looking at the designs that are being produced and saying, is that viable? Is that really going to work in that space? Because you do have to combine your expertise, again, assisted full self-driving. It can spit out the results for you, but you have to really look at it and say, is this realistic? Are these seams or these walls going to meet up like this? Or this is where I need to run plumbing or duct work, and that's not going to, so we can't put a support beam in there now because of that. So you really have to think about how the design works in real life, because it's one thing to do architectural plans and look at them in a 2D view on a sketch and then actually go out and relive it. That's why I said, I would move furniture around in my house to really make it seem like, okay, this is workable. But speaking to specific limitations, I can't, but what I can say is that you really need to think about bringing your expertise to bear in that, because that's the one thing, and I mentioned that with ChatGPT earlier in my examples with my ChatGPT buddy, it will spit out the wrong answers. It will do that, and you have to be aware of that. AI is not infallible. It will give you wrong answers. It will give you designs that may not be truly a workable design in the real world. So you have to really be careful with that.
And then Marlon asks, this must be a program you covered earlier that I didn't catch as I was answering questions in the chat, but do you just upload the blueprints to this program? And I don't know which program he's referring to, but is there a
Yeah.
program you found where you can upload some blueprints?
Yeah, you can upload blueprints, you can upload photos, you can upload videos to most all of these tools. And it will read it, it will scan it, it will look at the measurements. I mean, it will do all of that for you. Some tools may not do that. Some of the free tools may not. So that's where you kind of play around and you find out, is Google Gemini, is their Nano Banana tool really going to do everything you need? Or should you lean more toward a paid tool like Pro Kitchen Software or WeVisu? But yeah, that's really the starting point. You can input either by text or voice prompts things that you want, or you can upload images, photos, videos, blueprints, anything and everything. You give it, and it analyzes all that data, and then it can spit out results from there.
All right. And then Eduardo has a concern with AI to see how you might handle that.
Yeah.
One problem we're seeing is customers using AI and taking these outputs as gospel and either disrupting the design process by going down rabbit holes or challenging the recommendations of professionals. How does one handle these situations?
Eduardo, thank you so much for that question because we face that all the time. We have clients that, that use AI a little too much and they'll write us back a full AI email and we know it's AI. We can recognize it in a split second. And sometimes they even call us by the wrong name because they put a fake name in AI and they forget to change it out. Like again, they're not even editing anything. Like you said, they take what AI spits out as gospel. It's the final truth. It's really not. So that's where you have to come in and say, look, this is AI is just a tool. Did you hire a tool or a toolbox, or did you hire me? And that's the difference. AI is going to help them ask some questions and try to refine what they want. And AI is going to help you try to get to some of those answers and those final designs and the vision, helping them create that vision. But in the end, they're hiring you and your expertise, the years and years of experience and expertise that you have, and that's what you want to convey to them. And to kind of like just flip it around, go into chat or Grok or Claude and ask that question. Say, hey, I'm a remodeler, this is my company, and this is my name, whatever. And I get a lot of customers that think AI is the perfect solution and always question me if it doesn't match what they think it should match based on their AI output. How would you handle that question? And then see what AI will spit back out to you. So it's kind of like coming full circle to where AI can help you in that regard, but also it really comes down to you saying, look, I know what I'm doing. And I've been seeing a trend of people talking in chats and forums and stuff like, oh, I think I'll just use AI to do my SEO. And I laugh, because it's comical to think that AI is just gonna, do all these things that, 8 or 10 people are working on that have real world experience. It's just not possible for it to do all of the things from an SEO standpoint. And so the same thing applies for remodelers and builders and designers. It can spit out a lot of great answers, but it's never going to replace you as a human being. It just cannot. That's just a fact. It won't replace the tradespeople, the remodelers. Yeah, could it put wheels on a car on an assembly line and things like that? Sure. Can it, a little robot run around cleaning the floor at an airport? Yes, but as far as replacing the years of experience and expertise that you have, it can't replace that because AI learns from everything it devours on the internet, and it's just devouring articles and blogs. It's not devouring your case study of experience because you didn't write a case study. You didn't, when you learned 5 new things on that job you did 10 years ago, you don't have that out on the internet for it to learn. So it can only learn so much, and thus it can only spit out so much in terms of correct, usable answers.
And Bob, I
That's it.
think kind of along the lines of what you just answered, Rachel is asking, do all design recommendations today allow for structural adjustments that will be made to fill in the blanks fairly correctly if you were to remove an interior wall, say?
Yeah, so it's gonna do those redesign and things like that. Will it be as precise as it needs to be on, like, say, a particular measurement? I saw someone typed in earlier a quarter of an inch that you're off can throw off a whole design. I can't remember who put that in the chat. So again, that's where you have to come back in and quality control the output. You can say, I'm going to move this wall, and so that's going to throw everything off by the thickness of the wall, 4 or 5 inches. How is that going to affect the rest of the design? Can you adjust all my measurements accordingly? And it will do that, but do you really trust it 100%? Absolutely not. Like whenever I use AI, I check everything, and I'm just like, this is just content and things like this. We're not talking precise measurements. So you got to, make sure that everything still lines up. If it adjusted something by a quarter of an inch or 4 inches, did it adjust it over here too? Again, these tools are supposed to be able to do that, but supposed to be and actually doing it with 100% accuracy that you need. That's just not something I would trust as being infallible.
Yeah, absolutely. I do think you still have to take the measurements and double check and verify, regardless of what tool you're using, whether it's AI or something else.
Yeah. What's
Um,
that saying? Like measure once,
cut,
check twice or
measure
something.
twice, cut once.
Yeah, yeah, there you go. Yeah. 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 Exactly. Yeah.
All
So
right.
take it with a grain of salt for sure. These AI tools are great. They will speed things up for you, but they are no substitute for accuracy and experience that comes from the people, in the project themselves, the designers, the remodelers, and architects and draftspeople and all that.
All right. Thank you, Bob. We have quite a few more questions and we have quite a bit more time to answer them. So we'll keep going. Keep popping your questions in if other ones come up as you're um, as we're answering the questions. So Amy asks, she really liked that slider tool to show B and A photos. Where can you get that to use in various applications?
Yeah, so the tool I showed there was kitchendesign.io. That is a software that you can use from the internet. We custom code that into our website. We don't have a subscription or a tool that does that. We actually build that ourselves. Our developers do that. So if you want to do that on a bigger scale, you can use the kitchendesign.io tool. Or if you have your own web developer or web team, marketing team that can do that, they can custom code that into your website. We use only WordPress websites, easiest website platform out there to use, super, super easy to make changes, whatnot. But you can also do a lot of custom coding too. And so that's our developers code that in. And we don't do that for every picture. And we'll take, one project and do that, and then all the other, pictures of that project are usually going to be the final photos, and we just do one before and after. So we custom code that, but that kitchendesign.io tool is the one that I showcased in the presentation, and I really like that tool. They have some really neat capabilities. If you go on their website, there's a lot there to wow you with.
And we have a question from Mary, and I'll start off answering that question with regards to one tool I use, but you can jump in as well, Bob. So Mary asks, how can we protect our company's proprietary information if we want to use AI? What protections are there to keep AI from integrating any info we upload and then being able to provide that info to our competitors or retail clients? So I will tell you, for instance, with ChatGPT, it does have a function where you can ask it not to use your info in any of your inputs. So ChatGPT does have that. Bob, have you found that the other AI tools you featured have this type of feature that protects your privacy, your information?
Typically the paid versions do. Free versions, I don't trust. Like I use ChatGPT, and I use in one browser, I use the free version. In another browser, I log in and use my account. The free version is when I just want to, get some quick answers to something. And then the other, the paid version is where I go when I really want to start, working on, like, even this presentation. I wanted, some things looked at to say, hey, is this true, or does this make sense? Is this easily understandable? I don't want my presentation just being tossed around the entire ChatGPT world. OpenAI, the owner, the maker of ChatGPT is OpenAI. That tells you everything you need to know. It's open source coding, which is what means that collaborative coding. So anyone and everyone contributes to that source coding to come up with the best result. But that also means it's open to the world for use. I would only use paid versions of any tool. I just feel it's worth it. It's worth that protection. I'm not a lawyer. I can't dispense legal advice, but I would not use any free tools if you're worried about proprietary material or processes that can get out to your competitors. Most likely it won't, but most likely it's not good enough for me. I want 100% to know that I'm not going to be bamboozled.
Thank
And
you,
it
Bob.
just came out too, like Meta, Meta bought WhatsApp. WhatsApp used to be end-to-end encryption, one of the only text platforms that you can use that wasn't reading or selling your information. And then as soon as Meta bought Facebook, Meta bought WhatsApp, now WhatsApp is known to be compromised. It is not end-to-end encryption, and Meta's reading your text messages, and people no longer want to use WhatsApp because they know that it's not protected anymore, because that's kind of how Meta operates. Don't get me started on Meta, but so, be careful there. Paid versions will protect you the most.
And I think you may have answered this already, so let me know if you have, but can the design AI options understand and read floor plans to create 3D renderings? I know we talked about blueprints earlier.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, when I was showing you that example of the Pro Kitchen software, it had the blueprints in there that you upload, and then it creates that 3D rendering, and then you start just adding more inputs. So it can work. Like I said, you can upload blueprints, you can upload pictures, you can upload videos, and it will work all of that together, and then start helping you with those renderings. But absolutely, it can read those blueprints, and it also can read the measurements and everything and understand. You may have to, I don't say may, you probably will have to train it. We've trained our own personal GBT to understand who we are, understand our brand voice and everything. We've uploaded, every client has their own sub account that we've created so that we understand every client from a brand voice perspective, from their website, their videos, everything that they put out on social media. That way it knows our clients as well as we do. And so it's really important that again, the more inputs you give it, if you want to make sure that it's going to be accurate, you input that in, say that wall over there is 12 and a half feet. Label that. Don't just assume it's going to read it off the blueprint. It should, but you know what happens when we assume. So again, just the more inputs you can give it, the better it will be, and it gets better and better over time as well. As you're literally training the model. You're training your custom companion, basically.
Thank you, Bob. And then we've got a question from Win. Why would I give my client free access to any of the software? Is there a reason that you might ever want to do that you can see, Bob?
It's definitely a good question. Do you want them to come to your website and do a free design and then go take that design to the competitor who didn't have that? That's a viable concern, but also you can look at the flip side and say, well, if I'm giving them all this, why would they go to the other competitor who doesn't have any of this professionalism or any of this software? So that's something, that you can kind of wrestle with yourself. Another thing you can do is you can put that software, embed that software like wevizu.com. You can embed it on a hidden page on your website so that it's not, not from a menu. So someone can't just come design and then take that design and run with it. It's someone that you're already probably in conversations with, that you've already met with them. Maybe you've already got a design agreement in place, or at least a verbal that that you're going to be working together, and then you can give them that access. I also think that I kind of live by the concept of abundance in the world, that just the more you give, the more that you shall receive. So you can think about it from that perspective. I'm going to just put this out there and people can use it, and it should lead to more abundance in your world. It should lead to more jobs, more conversations at least, versus I'm not going to put this out there at all. And guess what? You're probably not going to get any jobs from that approach. So it's, each person's different in that regard. But I like to operate on the concept of abundance, and I think that it can serve you better in the long run. But using maybe that hidden page to, share it once you get to a certain stage of that relationship with the customer might be a good answer, a good, path forward.
Yeah, and I think also realistically, like you've talked at length about, these tools, at least at this point, are not close to replacing professional designers, right? So they're going to make a lot of mistakes. I mean, we've all seen those kooky AI generated, images where there's three ovens next to each other, and and different cabinets that open the wrong way. So AI is still not quite there. So I think it's important to educate the clients that probably what they might be getting through their own AI generated renderings is not, there's limitations from the existing space that AI is not able to capture.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
And then, do you have any experience? Alexandria asks, what do you think about Builder Trend versus House. They both offer AI built-in platforms that do a lot of what you've talked about. I don't know if you've had experience with any of those.
Yeah, again, I don't. We've worked in Buildertrend a little bit because some of our clients use it, and so we've gotten in there and helped them with some stuff, more so communication stuff and email campaigns, things like that. So we don't use. We've not. I don't have any experience using their AI software in terms of designs and renderings and things like that. I do know that I hear Buildertrend most often as the tool of choice for project management. So I do think that Buildertrend is the leader in that. House, I kind of have maybe a little bit of question about the platform itself because it is a platform that just sells leads and sells leads to multiple contractors at once, and so you're kind of scrambling over those, and so I don't like the association of using that and then using one of their professional tools. Maybe if you're using them together, it could be a good combination. But for us, everyone that comes to us are like, I'm on Angie or House or whatever. Like I'm tired of buying leads. I want to build my brand and have people coming to me because of who we are and the brand we've built, the reputation we've built. And so I don't know much about House Pro and using it. Obviously, a big company, very successful company, but I can't really speak to their AI tool versus Builder Trends tool and which one's better. You can ask ChatGPT and see what it thinks, and you can get that conversation started and see, because it's going to pick up reviews and mentions and social mentions everywhere on the internet out there, and it will give you some good input onto which one it thinks might be better, and then of course ask it some more refined questions, specific questions about features that you might use within either platform, and just kind of see where that takes you. But AI, again, it's going to know a lot more than any one person, is certainly me that doesn't use either platform.
And that's a really good point, Bob, about the way people are using AI as well. Before I used to type in a search for, let's say corner storage options, right? And then now you have to go through all the websites and compare the different features of the product, and using, an AI tool like say ChatGPT, you can have that spit out a comparison of the different features, maybe like you said, even how well reviewed these different brands are, kind of in seconds, right? When you're looking for manufacturing partners for your business.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
How do you go about asking permission to upload your client's information to AI? This question comes from Julie.
Yeah, I saw that question, and I also saw a question from Gene about AI policy template for employees to follow. So kind of similar questions on legality. And that's something that you have to build into your contracts, build into either an employment contract or a contract with your customer, a design contract or a design and construction contract. Build that in. Build in those clauses that say that you're allowed to do that so that you cover yourself. That's going to be something that you want to, either have your attorney write up for you, or here's a novel idea. You can have AI write it up for you and then have your attorney check it for you, double check it. We just did that. I've been working on redoing my trust, and I've been feeding left and right into AI about everything I want and don't want, and it just keeps refining and refining and refining. And then when I get to the end, I'll take that to my attorney and say, okay, give this one look over. So I'm going to pay him for an hour instead of the 10 hours he would have charged me otherwise. So that's one way to do it. Just build a short clause in there that says that you use AI for whatever you use it for designs or renderings, and you're not uploading any personal info, and assure clients of that, because you're not going to upload maybe an address or names or anything like that. You can upload a blueprint, and that blueprint can be for anywhere in the world. You're not labeling that as 123 Main Street owned by Bob and Kathy Smith. So just be careful on what you're uploading. I don't upload any personal information, anything that can be used in a nefarious way by the scammers out there in the world.
And Bob, we have one last question here, and I think this goes to kind of how AI can be used in the sales process, right? But what would you say is the most intuitive, free generative design program to use as a starting point to help clients visualize their remodeled space?
The tools that I showed, all of those are really easy to use. Artlist.io is a really easy one to use. Google's Gemini and their Nano Banana platform is another free tool. I showcase both of those in the presentation. Easy to use, and they spit out a great result. You know, they spit out that 3D rendering after you upload the plans or the inputs you give it. So the thing is to try them and then see if you like it. If you feel like it's just clunky or it's just not jiving with the way you think or use technology, then maybe you give another one a try because it's free. Don't go too far down the rabbit hole into one and then be like, oh, I don't want to, back all the way up the rabbit hole and try another one because I've been using this too much. Give them each a try and see which interface you're going to like better because you will like one better. There's no doubt about that, and it's going to be different for everyone. Everyone thinks differently. Their mind works a little different from analytical, from a creative perspective. So it's really a matter of what you like versus what someone else might like. Like I love using Grok. It is fastly becoming the number one AI platform out there. It's intuitive and it's just easy to use. The interface is easy. I like Elon Musk. I feel blessed to be alive with someone of his caliber. He's up there with inventing electricity and the phone and things like that with the things he's doing. So he's always going to have a great product, whether you like him as a person or anything else involved. His products are going to be great products to use. So I'm partial to his products, and I like Grok a lot, but that Artlist.io is good and Google's Gemini is good. Pro Kitchen Software, I think they've got a free trial that lasts 14 days, I believe. So it might be worth using that and going, oh, wow, this is way better than Gemini. And although Gemini's free, I think it might be worth paying for the upgrade because all of this, is really a return on investment. It's going to make you quicker at what you do. It should make you better at what you do. Ultimately, that's going to make you more money. And then you can say at the end of the year, wow, like we came a long way and it was worth that money we invested versus a free product because we all know what you get when you get free. You get what you pay for. Are there good products? Absolutely. Would you want to rely on free products to build your business? That's only for you to decide.